Greetings from Elk River Lutheran Church in Elk River, Minnesota. My name is Ian McConnell and I'm the Director of Children, Youth, and Family Ministry. We here at Elk River Lutheran are a Christian community who are just over 3 years old, and we're in the process of transforming the former home of First National Bank of Elk River on the bank of the Mississippi River into our new church building. Members of our new building ministry team made the following presentation on January 20th of 2013 to our congregation. And in this presentation, they will discuss our historical timeline in this process of purchasing and constructing our new building, which includes a construction schedule as we prepare to move into the heart of downtown Elk River this spring. You'll also be able to look at floor plans and pictures of current construction. There's also a link to a separate video which covers some questions and answers which were taken after the presentation. You can find that link in the description below, along with a link to our website and to our larger church body, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. Thanks for taking a few minutes of your time to learn about the exciting work being done here at Elk River Lutheran Church. Blessings.
In March of 2012, we had submitted a petition to the City of Elk River to get a conditional use permit for the use of the building as a church. It was granted to us in March. The MIF completed the purchase of the building for us almost immediately after that. And following on quickly on the heels of that, we assigned the members of the building committee in order to begin the process of developing floor plans and how we're going to use the space. So to find out how much we would have to help with the paying of the financing of this new project, Elk River Lutheran Church undertook their first capital campaign last April and May. It was called Rooted and Growing, and it was a phenomenal success. We ended up with pledges close to $700,000 for the next 3 years. And once we had completed that capital campaign, and we had also prepared 5-year budget projections and presented all that information to the Mission Investment Fund. Based on the information on our projections and the strength of the capital campaign money that we had raised, the Mission Investment Fund gave us a budget of $500,000 to use for developing the plans to renovate the building for use as our church. I want to say just a quick thing here. The $500,000 was set by the Mission Investment Fund combined with the $1.2 million of the purchase price of the property, along with the $500,000 of the budget they gave us for the renovations. They felt that was the level that Elk River Lutheran Church could afford to take on as their obligation for the building. They are very good at working with congregations to make sure that they don't overextend themselves and that they don't end up becoming so burdened with debt from property that it affects their ministry, because ministry is, of course, the top reason we're all here. So the $1.7 million total, the amount of a mortgage payment on that is the level that the Mission Investment Fund felt that Elk River Lutheran could afford comfortably. So that's the reason for the dollar amount that they came up with. And with that, I'm going to let Stan talk a little bit now about where the process went from there.
Okay, we had $500,000, and we were off to the races. The design committee was meeting and being frugal and being careful and trying to stay within our budget parameters. So we finalized plans for phase one here, and in June, and then Van Man developed specifications, bidding, and that began in August. In other words, they drew out the plans and laid out the specs for the building. And we figured we were trying to stay within that $500,000 parameter. Well, the bids returned and were reviewed by us in September. Lo and behold, we were $140,000 over budget, over $500,000. In other words, what we wanted to do, our initial planning, came in at $640,000, not $500,000. So we regrouped and met. One thing I want to point out really, really clearly to people, and that's that next point right there. 80%, and I want you to think about that for a minute, 80% of the budget that we're spending is required for occupancy and safety codes. The codes of the city, the codes of the state, whatever, the codes that we have to adhere to in order to occupy that. Why is that, you might say? Why is it so expensive? It was a bank, right? It was used by people. Well, it's because that was offices. We are an assembly group, gathering 260 people or 270 some people in the sanctuary, maybe a big Christmas service or an Easter service, and stuff going on downstairs and stuff in the fellowship hall, and us having a huge whatever. We have to meet assembly codes, which are very, very different and very expensive. So we went to work, and the building committee presented this cost overrun business to the congregation and to the council in October. And Alan, if I could turn it back to you here, please.
Okay, so once we realized that the bids came in over budget quite a bit, we took it. It became necessary for us to approach the Mission Investment Fund group again to ask for additional funding. Part of what we had to prepare to get ready for that meeting with them was the new 5-year projections on the budget were put together, and commentary was laid out to kind of indicate what our income status was and what was built into the projections. And also we let them know about what we'd already collected as far as the capital campaign was concerned. At that point, we had collected over $200,000 already of the $698,000 that was pledged. So we had very strong returns on the money that had already been collected. So once the information was all put together, a meeting was arranged to meet with the Mission Investment Fund, and a team from Elk River Lutheran went down and discussed our situation with them. And when it was all done with, the Mission Investment Fund had agreed to allow Elk River Lutheran to use $100,000 of its own capital campaign funds to help us get through what we needed to complete or to move on with our transition phase of the project. I want to point out that this is historical here. The Mission Investment Fund, as far as I've been told, has never allowed a mission church to do this. So the strength of our financial situation and the fact that we've already collected the substantial amount of our pledges for the capital campaign kind of made them comfortable in feeling that we would be able to use some of the additional funds to help us get through and make the building what we needed it to be to help with the ministry and the serving of the community. So you should all give yourselves a round of applause for that. It was had a lot to do with the generosity of this congregation that got us over the hump on this. So anyway, they came back with an additional $100,000, so we had a new $600,000 budget to work with, and at that point the building committee team took over one more time and started reworking the plans and coming up with a budget that would fit with that new dollar amount. And I'm going to turn it back over to Stan now, and he'll continue.
Right, and we are going to be taking questions here in just a few moments as soon as I make a few more comments, and we'll take questions and try and answer anything we can here. Well, we got busy. Now we had $600,000, and our bids were $640,000. So now we've got to cut. We've got to cut $40,000 out of the budget. So we decided to do these things: use our current entrance. We're not going to create a new entrance. Eliminate the addition of the third-level bathrooms up in the Sunday school and youth area. Up above, office area, we have one bathroom rather than new bathrooms in there. We're going to update the deck area. We're going to update that later. Right now, we don't need that for egress. We don't need that to get out of that building with fire codes. We have enough exits. So we don't need that. So as long as we keep that locked, then we can update that deck at a later date. The deck, by the way, is in pretty good condition, and it wouldn't take too much to do that. We did decide to finish off a part of the lower level, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. And we decided that the sanctuary and cafe will be modestly furnished. In other words, we really don't have much to put in that cafe area. The hospitality group, the people that we've worked with there have been, incredibly gracious, and we're trying to meet as many needs as we can. We met with all the committees again. Try to meet as many needs as we can within the parameters of the budget that we have to work with. But with 80% of our budget going toward code issues, we really didn't have a whole lot to work with. So that's where we wound up. We revised the bids and returned to Van Man in December, and the new bids were presented to the building committee in executive approval on December of 2012. Those floor plans, again, I don't want to go through them extensively, but let's give you each a copy of that so you've got those floor plans in front of you. If you want to ask some questions, you can. It's not that easy to look at this and then transpose all that information back and forth. So we'll kind of skip through this. Why did we finish the lower level now? That's a question we're going to be asked, and I think we're prepared to answer it. The reason is because because of the entrance through the lower level, we can't use that without an occupancy permit on the lower level. So in other words, that parking area down there, getting out, perhaps some seniors or somebody who's got some issues with mobility, getting in that lower level and then coming up the elevator couldn't be done without finishing off that lower level. The bathrooms on the lower level are required. If we eliminate the third floor bathrooms, we have to be able to use the bathrooms on the lower level. The bathrooms on the main floor that are in the vault, the safe bathrooms, those are not meeting code for handicapped accessibility. And we felt we needed that space finished off for the community room, the youth, music, and adult education. We need to get space for those folks. We need to have them, to have our youth using that space down there, our music people using that space, and our community room available to the community. That's part of our mission. That's part of what we're doing. And adult education needed space too. So that's why we did the lower level. What's next? The construction continues. We're going to move in. We've got a kind of a timetable for that we'll present. This is our construction schedule. This is what we're talking about very realistically. Can that be moved up? Are we going to move in here in the last part of April, the first part of May, right here? Probably. What we don't know is that can that be moved ahead? Can we move quicker? Of course, we're trying to do that. We meet with our superintendent frequently, and things are happening, and we'll see what happens. Those things are beyond our control, but this is a very realistic timeline to keep expectations in line with the reality.